All right, we are live.
Oh, hello.
We are live. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Excited, quite
Mm.
excited. Well, I forgot to turn my light on. Let's turn that on. There we go. There's some
Oh,
light.
that is better.
Cool. So we are talking about the final episode of the Clone Wars ever, potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Potentially, possibly, probably,
potentially ever,
hopefully.
possibly ever. But before we jump into that, I just want to say hello to everyone there. If you can hear us fine, say something in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. We don't mind which platform you use. I wanted to give a bit of a shout out to all of our patrons. We've got a new one, Matilda, Swedish Jedi. She has just joined as of, I think, 2 days ago. So after our previous stream, which was on Saturday. And if anyone's interested in getting in on Patreon, you can visit us there at patreon.com/Blue Bantha Milk Co. And one final reminder as well, this stream is not intended for children under the age of 13. We have to say that pretty much every time we do these things. So let's just dive straight into it. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So how many times have you watched it, the final episode of The Clone Wars?
I watched it twice. I had the weird experience of, obviously, so as you know, I get up at 5 a.m. every day to do writing and
Yeah, because you're a madman.
Because I'm insane. And when I got up and I thought, okay, I'll have a quick check of Facebook. And good friend of ours, David Sinclair Smith, had just put a comment on something, I think on a May the 4th thing. And he just put, the final episode blew my mind. And it's like, final episode? Does he mean the last episode? And then I went on to Disney Plus and I saw that, Rise of Skywalker was on. The Gallery Mandalorian was on. So I went straight to the thing and I was just like, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
Because I had these big plans. I was like, I was going to go and get a few beers and watch the full thing, or maybe I was going to download them and edit them together and blah, 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 blah. And then, 5:05, I was sat there with a coffee in my hand, click, and just got straight into it. Incredible. Just amazing. Just blew me away. That perfect final episode thing, like, of no messing around. Just, this is it. There's nothing. We're not leaving anything behind. We're got keeping stuff for later. This is it. Take it all. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. Fantastic.
It's interesting. Like we've had final episodes of TV shows that we like before, and I guess there's a degree of finality to some of those things because there isn't necessarily another series coming after it, and there's all these like you said, loose ends that need to get tied up in some of those shows. Like, big one that I'm always remembering is Battlestar Galactica, the 2003 version. There is no Battlestar Galactica after that.
Yeah.
Right. So they finish the show essentially, and then there's 50% of an episode dedicated to an epilogue, basically of everyone going and setting up their huts and all that. And it's beautiful, but like it really changes the pace of the show, and this had none of that. I think there's a little bit of benefit in the format, and that we know that these characters go on for the most part, and there's other stories to tell, so they can just finish quite tightly and succinctly.
Well, yeah, they can kind of narrow the focus because you're like, okay, well, we don't need to see what happens with Anakin or Obi-Wan or Yoda or Windu or blah, blah, blah. We just got these two. It's because it's essentially just Ahsoka and Rex, like their finale. Because even like Maul, he just sort of goes off, and you're like, okay, we know we can follow that if we watch Rebels and all this. But it was just specifically, just very much like, okay, what happens to Rex? What happens to Ahsoka? Which is perfect. Far too many times you do have that thing like that Battlestar Galactica thing where all the fireworks happen in the second to last episode, and then the last episode is sort of just like we had some fun times, didn't we, guys? And
kind of ice it off, and
it's just rolling to the end, and you kind of do a little bit of a montage and all that. And this just didn't do that at all. It was just like complete insanity up until pretty much the final moments. Which was just incredible. That action sequence of the Y-wing like falling out and her falling out with it, and just all that. I don't think Clone Wars has ever done anything as good as that.
No,
Just,
I'd agree.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
I'd agree. I'd absolutely agree. I think like there's a degree of I guess the cinematography of this arc. Like everyone's kind of been a bit blown away by certain parts of it. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, there's bits of it that's just like, yep, cool. We've seen that before. Like, you know, there's a lot of Dutch tilts and stuff like that in some of the corridor scenes in The Phantom Apprentice. They've done things like that before, but old friends not forgotten when they, like I said in one of the other streams, when Obi-Wan appears, like that is killer. Like the
So good.
the way that they pan up and all that is so good.
It's a real hero shot, isn't it? Which is just like,
yeah,
just incredible.
But then action set pieces, like, yeah, I think you're right. This one, that Y-wing dropping out of the sky, that was probably the biggest thing I think that they've done. I can't think of anything bigger.
No, I mean, I can't even think of like when I was watching it, I was just thinking to myself, this is top 5 Star Wars sequence. You know, this is, I can't think of, I can only think of a handful of things that would be better than it. And it was amazing. And I was just like, my heart was in my throat and I was just like, come on. And when Rex was like piloting it and looking the other way and you saw her, I was just like, Rex, look, you know, that way, dickhead.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It was really good. The second watch through was, just as good as well. Like, you know, that's kind of a thing with that show. I've oftentimes watched something going, yeah, that's good. Second time I'll watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. Like, but no, the impact still lands, quite well.
The whole arc was just pretty much like I just rewatched the whole thing, and full of cool little sequences. Like you say, gorgeous imagery. Bo-Katan, like, you know, when she's being crushed by the lift and she's just firing the jetpack and holding it. That's a gorgeous shot and a gorgeous sequence. Just all the way through, just amazing. And just like pacing, the pacing is brilliant. It's like these huge moments and then these very small moments and then a huge moment and all that. And it feels like 4 separate stories and one big story. Like there's no, you couldn't take any of the arc out. It all just builds and builds and builds. Like, I mean, I know we were saying about the Martez sisters one. You could probably like trim an episode and a half out, and get the same you'd be fine. Yeah. Whereas this, like every single moment, there was nothing wasted. There was fan service that worked. There was Revenge of the Sith stuff that was perfect. Action, funny. There was that moment in the last episode where the clones just execute the droids. There's like real moments of like, Jesus. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah. That really stood out the second watch. Like I had the headphones on watching it the second time. And like having the volume cranked up a little bit and just hearing the droids being shot to death. I was like, oh shit.
Just wild.
Yeah. No, it was really good. The something I thought they were very wise to do was to let Maul kind of go into the background a bit in this episode. Like he featured so strongly in the previous episodes, or in the previous 2. So like he's not a big part in the first one of the arc. Obviously, the middle 2, it's all him basically. But then this one they really did the right thing. I think it was like, no, this is about Ahsoka and Rex. It's less about him. They have that little moment, you know, where she's pulling on the ship, and you know, and obviously, I feel like there's a little bit of a connection there, and I think there's a little bit of comeuppance there for Ahsoka. You know, like she could have been nicer to him when she let him out. she was very Anakin when she let him out of there, and like through this arc you see bits of Anakin coming out and bits of Obi-Wan coming out, you know, and that was a real Anakin moment, just like going, I don't care about you, like you go do your thing, go serve your purpose. And it came back to bite her in the ass.
Just get out the way.
Her and Rex could have got out with him if they were nice, or she was nicer to him.
No, that's it.
Yeah. But that was good. Just let Maul do his thing. Let him be the bad guy off in the side. His that moment where he pulls down the hyperdrive reactors was like, That was pretty good.
And it is just like pure sort of like agent of chaos stuff, because he just kind of goes in and just like fucks the ship up, and there's no sense of like, because they sort of like find a way off the ship by accident. So it's not like he's thinking to himself, it's fine, I'll go to the hangar, there'll be a bunch of ships waiting for me. He's just sort of like, okay, this is the thing to do, to really, this is the worst possible thing I could do at this moment. That's what I'm going to do. And maybe I'll escape.
Yeah.
And just crushes it all and takes a lot of clones with it and all that. And it's incredible. And that sort of, it reminds me of, I think is it one of the missions in Battlefront 2 where you do that, where you break the hyperdrive reactor and the ship just falls out of the hyperspace tunnel all messed up. I think it's in Battlefront 2, the second bit, like Resurrection or whatever, where you're kind of,
maybe. Yes.
I think the ship's flying to Starkiller Base and you stop it en route and all that, and it falls out of hyperspace.
Right.
And I love that. I thought that was just a cool idea of just, obviously taking something that's going near the speed of light and then just like making it stop abruptly. So the whole thing just kind of
makes me think of Spaceballs.
Yes.
Like when it's ludicrous speed pulling the brakes. I love that. Hold on. Who said it? Yeah, Turbo said it just then in the comments, and I'll bring it back up. The score.
Incredible.
That's probably been one of the highlights of the whole arc. I think, like, starting it very much like original Star Wars score. Very orchestral, great, very familiar, and then it really does go very Blade Runner-y. Phil Sozak said it. One of the guys from does all the art of books, like for Lucasfilm Publishing. He on his Twitter he said it as well. Today I saw it pop up, and it's like, it really is. It's got that Vangelis kind of sound to it. In certain bits, it matches episode 3, like especially in the previous episode in Shattered. So there's that long. It's just a long set of tones. It's not even music as such. Like, it doesn't have sort of rises and falls. It's really just.
Well, it's like the
ominous.
Ominous, like the opera bit, where it's just like it's just that noise and kind of occasional rises, and like the music that started this final episode as well, that kind of orchestral like choral music, the chorus was great. And it's interesting, like you say, a lot of it was sort of very John Williams-y, and a lot of it was John Williams, but there was also some cool experiments, and you wonder if that's sort of like a bit of the Mandalorian influence, because that music, like the Mandalorian music, is very un-Star Wars, but perfect and brilliant. So it'd be interesting if they
Star Wars somehow.
Yeah, that's it. And maybe they kind of like, okay, cool, we can experiment and go a little bit outside of the 100-piece orchestra, crazy choruses and stuff. We can start doing some weird stuff, which was fantastic. And it really benefits is, like I say, especially that Shattered episode with that sort of horror movie music. Was great. Just fantastic. I can't knock the arc at all. I can't find like nitpicks at all. Every line of dialogue was great. Every character was great. Every performance was great. It did. I got my hopes up really high for what this was going to do, and it did it.
Yeah,
that's it. Like everything that I sort of thought, I hope it does this, and it didn't do that. I was like, no, that was the right choice. Don't have a montage at the end that shows us where we are. Don't flash forward to Rebels. Don't do this. Don't do that. And these are the things I was like, I hope this happens. And then it didn't happen. You're like, no, I'm wrong. That's why he makes the show and I don't. That's it. My instincts are bullshit.
I don't have. I haven't had expectations for the show, really. Like, I was just happy that they were going to end it, and get a proper ending to the whole thing. We've spoken at length about how other parts of the show this season have been, and overall a bit of a mixed bag for me. But how this ended, there weren't really bits that I was sitting there going, I wish that they'd done this, or that could have been better, or anything like that. They put all the emphasis and all the effort clearly into this, and it shows. Like it really shows. lightsaber fight, rewatching it today, like the lightsaber fight in the Phantom Apprentice is incredibly good. It's
knowing
really good.
the making of as well, and seeing like the stunt performer and the stunt performers do it. And I'm just amazed by that thing where Ray Park does that kind of, he does the double jump, like, and it's just like so powerful, but also something you think like, well, an animator wouldn't think of that. No. That would be something that someone would have to do, and then you'd use it. You know what I mean? It's experience. You know, it's experience
someone that has like, that body memory and knowing how to use combat weapons and all that sort of stuff. And you're right, an animator isn't going to come up with that on their own. They're just going to, I don't know. They're look at source material, and they're going to look at the prequels, and they go, oh well, this is kind of prequel era stuff. So you know, and it might have been crazier. So having that groundedness to having Ray Park in it, it was really good.
Because you are at that point where you're like, we've seen, like even in Clone Wars, you've seen dozens and dozens of lightsaber fights. So it's always incredible when there's like a new one. You're like, shit, that's like up to surprises again. Yeah,
absolutely. So did you do a full rewatch?
Yes, I just finished before. Yeah. Oh, so I watched it independently this morning. So I was like, well, I've got access to it now. I'm too much of a junkie to not be like, oh, I'll watch it later. Like, no, I'm a bollocks gonna watch it later. So after when I finished work this afternoon, I just went back to the start and watched the whole thing. Yeah, and it was great.
So I did that instead of just watching the new episode. I made sure that I did it then and there. Like I'm gonna watch the whole arc as soon as the coffee was ready this morning. Basically, I was like, all right, I'll watch through, and little things that poked out in the fights. You know, at the very end where Ahsoka's lost a lightsaber and she's pulling the lightsaber back to her, and she ignites it as it's flying through the air, and Maul jumps over, and it would have taken out if he had a penis, it would have taken it out. But
replaced it.
Would have replaced it. That I hadn't noticed that the first time I watched.
Okay.
Other little thing when they're fighting up in the rafters above Mandalore, and Ahsoka jumps and she's like over him and like pushing down. Didn't notice that she's actually standing on his thigh at that time as well. And he like pushes her off.
Brilliant.
That was great. The Hannibal Lecter stuff in Shattered, when the clones go to kill him. Yeah. I hadn't quite, I don't know, I can't remember what I was so focused on, but it wasn't that. Just the little way that they animate his eyes, and you see a real sense of panic out of him as well. I thought that was really well done. The hallway scene with him as well. Just watching that for the second time through, I liked it more. For some reason, I didn't like it so much the first time. I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But second time through, I definitely liked it a lot more. He felt more menacing.
Yeah.
And I think what was missing was the light.
Walking unarmed, hands by his side.
Yeah.
You know, and you just like, just shoot him. That's it. And then he just kills them all.
I think the first time I saw it, I saw it and was like, they're doing the Vader thing. They're doing the Vader hallway thing. But it was well lit. So he has quite a bright light behind him. So you can see him basically just comes around the corner, and it felt less menacing because of that. But then, the second time watching it and just could absorb it a bit more. It was really good.
Just like really casual violence. I think someone referred to it as was it Magneto? It's like a real Magneto situation of just like just pulling metal off the walls and then using it to. It's great, just really cool, and it's awesome that just like those the last two episodes, he just causes all that chaos and kills all those people and never has a weapon.
Yes,
just pure anger, pure force.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah. Seeing then in the final episode, him running towards the hyperdrive unit and whatnot, something that really stuck out to me, and I guess this is why the plan works. Like, why does Palpatine's plan work so well and so easily. And it's the difference between Maul and Ahsoka. Maul's just no qualms in just killing everything in front of him.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. It's just, no, you're in my way. Off the bridge you go.
Yeah.
And even right down to the end, like Ahsoka's like, I don't want to kill anyone. Like, you know, she doesn't want that to happen. Obviously, there's the different upbringings, I guess, that would lead them there. But it's that thing that in a situation like that, the Jedi are at a real disadvantage without the plan having even taken place. You know, like Palpatine knew it. He would have known that from the get-go. It was like, yeah, they're going to be Jedi to the end. They're going to be on the defense right to the end, and they will be overwhelmed, even when they know what's going on.
And yeah, clearly, like that is what it shows, isn't it? There's like, because you do get to the thing of like, okay, well, Maul kills conservatively 50 clones with his bare hands. Rex and Ahsoka, Rex and Ahsoka are armed and could do the same thing, I guess, but they spend so much time trying their best not to kill people that it nearly kills them.
Yeah.
You know, it is actually Maul who sort of saves them by messing up the hyperdrive that causes enough chaos and then tips the ship and all that. Which is not, I guess, us kind of condoning mass murder, which it sort of sounds like we are.
No, not in this stream. That's for the weekend.
That's in the other stream. That's where we run our cult. So join that. But yeah, no. I mean, I think again, rewatching it, like the ominous stuff near the start, which I think sort of passed me by, or maybe didn't pass me by. I think it just got overshadowed by a lot of like bangs and whistles. All the Maul stuff where he's like, things are changing like now. It's happening. I think it's happening right now. I don't know what it is, and I don't know what's going to happen, but it's happening. And it's like, I know all he seems to know is like, it's going to be caused by Sidious and it's going to involve Anakin. And when whatever it is, it's going to cause such a shift in the balance of power that everything is going to change. And out of spite, he wants to try and stop it. And again, it's just that ominous thing of him just when he keeps saying to Ahsoka of just like, no, the plan is in motion. I think it's happening now. Like, you're too late. Yeah. Like the plan started decades ago. You're already a piece that's been moved around. You're the wrong piece. If you were someone else and I'd killed that other person, we'd be fine. But I don't think, it just all falls. It's us. It's so good.
It makes me think of it. It's a less aggressive. It's a less aggressive version of like when Kylo says to Rey in The Last Jedi about like how she's still holding on. Let go. Yeah. You know, like it's the same. It's the same kind of idea. He needs her to kind of rethink everything, but kind of on a dime. You know,
it's like
now, right now. You don't have time for this stuff, and and there's no way that that's going to happen. I mean, Ahsoka's as I guess open and willing to see things differently as I guess any of the Jedi are, more so. But not so much so that she can't even take a little criticism about Anakin, you know, without reacting like Anakin.
Yes.
It's, very interesting. God. Yeah, that seeing the different facets of her personality really stood out in this rewatch. I think they've nailed that character. It would be nice to see her pop up again in something else other than, you know, like there's rumored Mandalorian stuff, but like we spoke about on the weekend, a spin-off of some sort.
I'd watch.
So I feel like they've really nailed who she is.
It's very interesting to be like her character being like, you know, obviously quite maligned by the fandom when she showed up, but now she's used as like the dickhead's excuse of like, oh no, it's not because Rey's a woman. I like Ahsoka. And you probably hated Ahsoka, but now you've given it some time and you've watched and you like it. But now this new woman's come along, so you're like, oh, I hate that woman, but I like this woman, so that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Like, Do we need a third woman to bring? Do we just need to keep doing that? Has society collapsed?
I don't know. I don't know that I want the answer. Like I worry about that kind of line of thinking with parts of the fandom. Like I really do. Like there's no. I mean, everyone sees through that shit. Everyone sees through it, and they go, "No, you're just using this to try and make yourself look less crap."
Oh, it's the "I've got black friends" excuse. It's nothing. It actually makes you worse.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
Because
I guess there's
Oh,
well, I was just going to say, I think there's people that probably did react poorly when she first came out, and then over time maybe softened their opinion a little bit. And I guess like anything, exposure therapy is a thing.
Yeah.
If people have got a weird bias against having female characters in a thing, well, just you throw more female characters at them, and eventually they might get over it, or they might fuck off. One of those two things.
It is anything where
we shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to fuck them.
No.
It is anything like that though. Any sort of shift where you like, I'm thinking of like Batman comics when they brought in Damian Wayne, who was Batman's son, and he became Robin, and everyone hated him. Now he's a much loved character, because people just took some time and just got to know the character, and the writing was strong, and that was it. But because people have that instant sort of hatred for new things, because like the thing is, I guess the Ahsoka thing probably is less to do with Ahsoka the character and more to do with why are you giving Anakin a Padawan? What nonsense is this? And to be honest, when someone told me that was what happened in the Clone Wars, I was just like, oh, Lucas.
I was too. I was like, how does that fit in?
How does that fucking work?
Yeah, where's this Padawan throughout the rest of the thing? I thought that too. I was confused.
Like, oh, what a ridiculous thing. And then obviously this morning was just like eating my breakfast in tears. It's like, oh, so good. So how quickly the worm turns.
Yeah.
But I mean, that character is probably at this point they need to introduce her in Mandalorian and then have a bunch of people be like, oh my god, this like Rosario Dawson kicks ass and this character's amazing. How can I find out more about her? Go back and watch Clone Wars, watch Rebels, and just be like, oh, this character just kicks ass from top to bottom. So
yeah. Sorry, I'll jump back to this other comment, but Catherine just said, to people complaining about women's stars, tell them to get stuffed. And
indeed,
absolutely. But this comment here, I did want to bring up.
Yeah,
the final scene. We haven't spoken about that at all. So the epilogue to the episode. Obviously, were you surprised to see what they did with that, with Vader turning up?
Oh my god, yeah. Like that scene with when she dropped the lightsaber and it was all the graves. Yeah, I was like, okay, I assume this is the ending. And if we get a stinger at the end, I couldn't really imagine what the stinger was going to be. Because remember, like like the end of Rebels, where it's Sabine, and she actually does sort of say, "This is what happened for everyone next," and she sort of tells you what happens after Return of the Jedi. I was like, well, I don't think we're going to get that because we know, like, all the Clone Wars characters are either at that point dead, or we know what happens next. So I don't know, but when it sort of turned out to be. When you started seeing all stormtroopers, I was like, oh, okay, what's this? And then you just hear the breathing, like, oh shit! But that was great. It was perfect. So I was like, oh, we're gonna hear James Earl Jones, but it's like he picks up the lightsaber, he sees all the dead clones, and you're like, okay, well, that's why Vader hasn't hunted Ahsoka to the ends of the galaxy because he assumes she's dead. And that's it.
Or does he?
Or does
the owl thing he sees flying above? I wonder about that.
It was great. I think it was just perfect because it was just enough to just be like, we're tying the Clone Wars to the original trilogy. We're giving you a little bit of the old and the new. it's a cool little like prequel for the Twilight of the Apprentice and that whole season of Rebels.
Yeah.
Because actually, yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? In Twilight of the Apprentice, Vader senses her, and he's like, "The Apprentice is alive," or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So that's like the first time. But that's not to say that he could have just assumed she's died in the 15 years or whatever that's passed. But yeah, no, I thought it was great. And what did you think?
Yeah, loved it. Even down to little things like the animation style goes a bit more Rebelsy. Like
Yes,
the
that's true, yeah.
stormtroopers, I saw them. I was like, oh, they're weird looking clones, because it doesn't do like a fade to black for very long. You know, and sometimes I like a little bit of a longer fade to black, because it just tells me straight away. It's like
indicates time
had passed.
Yes.
Yeah. So it dips in and out very quickly of that, and then there's these stormtroopers there, and I'm like, oh, hold on, that looks Rebelsy. Like I thought that just the roundedness of everything, rather than the sort of the jaggedness.
That's true, yeah.
You know, like the harder edges and whatnot. I was like, oh, they look that way. And then when I heard the breathing, then you see him. There's a wide shot of him, and he's very skinny. Like it's the skinniest Vader I think that you'll ever see. And I thought, that's very. I knew what it was doing straight away. I was like, yep, cool. This is tying it into Rebels very well.
Yeah,
very impressed by that. That was very cool. And like the stormtrooper or the clone trooper helmets on all of the spikes, like a graveyard. There, I thought was a really, really nice touch. If the show does nothing else, it does very well at humanizing the clones and making you actually realize that they didn't ask for any of this. They're not just robots, which is good. Like you could, if you didn't watch the series, you could just think they are very stunted or limited as beings. Dispelling that, it's very good. They did a very good job at that.
Fantastic. There's a great couple of lines from Rex, because he's trying to deal with it, and when he says, like, I've got the clones have mixed feelings about the war, because if it didn't happen, we wouldn't exist. Like, okay, that's fucked. The idea of people being created for war, but then like created for war and given free will to fight that war, but then in the end, actually, no, your free will was a lie, because at some point you could flick a switch and take that away and just turn you into a mindless killer. Because you can't, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anyone ever gets kind of like talked out of Order 66. You have to have the chip removed or broken or whatever. No one ever kind of like fights their programming long enough. And that's it. It's just literally like, not that we see, of course, So having that thing at the end of just like all these, and the fact that like, Rex and buries his brothers and all that, doesn't hold ill will towards them. He sees exactly that they've been puppeted by baddies as well. It's gorgeous. It's more nuanced than you would expect for something like this, because it'd be very easy to just use the clones and be like, right, that's cool cannon fodder. We can kill off 20 of them an episode. Give a few names, whatever. And like, no, there's even this season, like the Bad Batch was a bit nothing, but then when you think back on it, you're like, oh yeah, but poor Echo, got just used again as a tool, and then couldn't stay with the clones because he was broken. So he went with the broken clones, and there was a place for him after all. And it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The more like if you think about it a bit, and then just at this end to just like poor Jesse, who was like such a good soldier and a good brother, who just gets his switch flicked and has to die. And it's like, oh, this is absolutely heartbreaking. Just gutting. Yeah.
Incredible. Do the Bad Batch clones have a chip?
Good question. I don't know. I didn't. It'll be interesting. I'd read a comic book miniseries about the Bad Batch, just to see what happens to them. Like Echo, follow up on that, a book, just to see what happens. What happens to you on Order 66? I'd watch that. I'd listen
Something
to
else that I thought during that epilogue bit with Vader there, I thought, okay, is this showing Vader actively going to look for Ahsoka?
Mm.
Like, is that what he's doing, or have they just happened upon the planet, or what is this? Like, how soon after is it? Because obviously, like, clone troopers have to get outfitted, or stormtroopers don't just appear from nowhere, I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
So some time has obviously passed, not too much time, I guess, because that it's not like everything is so buried under snow, but some time has passed. So what is it saying? Is it saying that Vader does go looking for her? If so, like, that could be one of those things that they put into a comic series.
Yeah,
because they tend to like to do that. They just show that he did all these other things other than what we saw in the films. That he looked for people from his past actively. That he hid that stuff from Palpatine.
Yeah, I think the most recent arc is sort of him. Not necessarily looking for Padme, but he finds one of her handmaidens and starts working with her, and it's a bit of a weird thing, but it's one of the handmaidens who pretended to be her, so she looks like her, and so on and so on. I would say, and you can do this both ways. You can either say that he is actively looking for her to kill her, because that's the thing now, or he's actively looking for her outside of the purview of the Emperor to turn her. Like, she was my apprentice then, she can be my apprentice now. But I do think he's actively looking for her to draw a line under it in some way. To just be like, because I don't see him looking for her to make sure she's safe, because I think they do have... Well, yeah, actually, like Catherine says there, it's a loose end. It's too much of a loose end.
Yeah.
She knows
big liability.
Big liability. And for, if the Emperor's sensing a bit of weakness about Anakin, he definitely wants anything from his past erased. Anything that can kind of remind him that he was once a human being, get rid of that.
Yeah. Here's a question Steve's asking. I've wondered this as well. The planet.
Was it Hoth?
Was it Hoth? What's that planet?
I think
it could be.
Could be. I mean, I think the snow, the sort of like Ku Klux Klan troopers with the snow hoods, and the things you like, the probe droids. Yeah.
Yes.
That's all very start of Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? That's all kind of.
It is.
That's definitely doing that shorthand to say,
Yeah.
I
feel like that's going to come out in something. They're gonna say what that planet was, where it was. That sounds like it's going to be a Star Wars Explained,
maybe
kind of video.
I guess
they seem to get that stuff right all the time.
It posits a weird idea that Hoth isn't snowy year round, which is interesting because they don't crash in snow, do they? They crash in desert, do they? Am I going completely mad? Because it's a moon.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's snow.
But they call it, actually, they do call it a moon. They don't call it a planet.
They do. Yeah.
And I think Hoth's a planet.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder. Oh, we'll find out. We'll find out one day.
Oh, we will definitely find out, yes. There will be no questions left unanswered. The whole arc was heartbreaking. I think it did something that we've never really seen on Star Wars before, telling two stories at the same time, or telling a story at the same time that something else is happening. Star Wars is very this. The closest we've had is like Resistance, when we saw the Starkiller base thing at the same time as something else. But with this, from the very first second of that first episode, I was just like, at some point, Order 66 is going to happen. So the more clones that are around Ahsoka, the worse this is going to be.
The worse, yeah.
And she's just surrounded by clones all the way through. And when she's not with clones, she's with Maul. So it's just this constant sense of danger. There's never a sense of safety. And every time she's with Rex, I'm just like, oh, Rex. Oh, mate.
Yeah.
What's going to happen here?
When is this going to happen? Yeah.
When is this going to happen? It was just like that constant sort of like, the jump scare is coming, the music is building, but it just continues to build and build and build and build and build, like for episode after episode after episode until it breaks. And it's incredible. Just like, to have all that knowledge of what was going to happen in the sort of macro sense, if you will, of like, well, we know that the war's going to end. We know Order 66 is going to happen. We know this, we know that. But then to see it all in one straight line was gutting. Brilliant.
Yeah. Something that really kind of struck me today about the whole thing is like, when we looked at the prequels for the first time, I was like, does the original trilogy need to have this kind of backstory? Does it need to have all this connective tissue? Does it need it? Doesn't need it. And now we're at this point now where it's the prequels that have been given all the connective tissue.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool. Like it's great. Like we're just out of that era where the OT is the be all and end all. And I think we've been out of that for a little while. But yeah, that you can add so much to something that was so maligned by people.
Yeah,
I mean, add so much more to that story. Like, it's incredible. There's nothing more really to say. Yeah.
I've said it many times, but like when I first started watching the Clone Wars, I had no time for the prequels at all. And then all of the sort of issues that I had with the prequels, the Clone Wars solved them. Like my main thing being like, you barely see Anakin and Obi-Wan together.
He's going to
yeah, anyways. And you're supposed to think they're brothers and all this, and I just don't get it. And then obviously you watch Clone Wars and you see them that they are brothers, and you're like, oh, brilliant. Yeah. Well, that fixes that, And there's so many of those all the way through the Clone Wars. We're just like, that improves this. And then now you've got this, where you're like, Order 66 was already brilliant. Now it's better.
Yeah. I didn't think that would be the case. It's of all of the Star Wars movies, like, when you've got a movie that is like your day off sick kind of Star Wars movie, Episode 3 is that one for me. It's like if I just want to watch something and like chill out and feel a bit like shit and kind of revel in it, it's that one. It's the most depressing of them all, but that whole 20-30 minutes of Episode 3 now has got a lot of extra context to it that I wasn't kind of prepared for or kind of conscious that we were going to get. So that's kind of
and
cool.
You've got that cool thing now. You've got like you've got 4 Order 66s now. So you've got obviously Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, Fallen Order, and you've got the Kanan Jarrus comic, where you see it happen. So you see it happen in like so many different places and so many different ways, and it's great. Like everything just piles on to just make the whole thing bigger, I guess. Because the problem with the prequels is it made everything quite small. It was sort of this idea that there were 12 people in the galaxy and they were controlling everything. And the sequel trilogy moved away from that, then moved back to it. But with this, it's like, no, the galaxy is huge, and all of these Order 66s were going on. And each one is a separate tragedy and a separate story, and here's a bunch of them. So enjoy this horrible thing. Because that Kanan comic is brilliant. Fallen Order was brilliant. Clone Wars is brilliant.
Yeah. Well, I think each one of those different iterations or versions of Order 66, like you need to have something that's nice and self-contained, inside of its own respective media and its own respective story and whatnot. But yeah, like I think the movies are always going to have that closedness to it. Like, I mean, the original trilogy is about very few people. The prequels are really about very few people.
Oh, no. I mean, kind of like in the sense that, like, Yoda's mates with Chewbacca.
Oh, yeah.
Anakin built 3PO. Yeah. Like that kind of thing. Yeah, like it just kind of makes it that everyone's,
Yeah, everyone's up each other's butts a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get you. Catherine's got something here.
Okay. Was Jet Li just one of the younglings?
He was the last one. So when Bail Organa goes to the Jedi Temple, and there's there's that youngling, but the less youngling, that youngling's out the platform and is fighting some of the clones and basically trying to get in the speeder with Bail, and then he gets shot. Yeah, that's Jet Lucas.
No, he does well then.
Yeah, he does all right. That's all right.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, his own dad put him in a movie just to kill him.
George is like, I'm going to play a blue-skinned opera aficionado.
Yeah.
You're going to get shot.
Yeah, you're going to die. Yeah.
That's actually an incredible thing in the Clone Wars, where you have that, Baron Pompadour, whatever his name is, like his family, like George Lucas's cameo's family, and they're all Australian. Like that whole family is played by Aussies, and I thought that was very strange and genius. And again, just a weird kind of cool Clone Wars thing of just like, okay, well, we got this background character and he's played by George Lucas. Let's flesh that out. Let's see what that does. Why not?
Have you read the final passage of the Revenge of the Sith novel?
I have not. It's on my bookshelf, but I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it. So what is the final passage? Maybe someone can you say in the comments there? Super Meowskers, please. I know that might take a little while to type. Maybe paraphrase it, or maybe we'll just go look it up. We can Google it. But I don't know what that means. If someone else does, let us know.
Sorry, I just thought of one thing actually in terms of things I was expecting in the moment and that didn't happen. I didn't care. When Ahsoka drops her lightsaber on the floor, I was like, oh, is she going to bury it like Rey does? Kind of just point at it, and it was just going to drop into the ground. I was like, that would have been an interesting whatever. But obviously they weren't going to do that because of the Darth Vader thing. But that would have been quite interesting to sort of see. Well, people would have lost their minds over it. But yeah, still quite interesting.
I'm glad you brought that up, because there was one little thing I thought of in that moment when Vader walks up to the snow, or up to the ship, and he stands there and he sort of just finds it there in the snow, like buried under not much snow. Nerd idiot brain went, that's not enough snow. There should have been more snow if there's going to be a passing of time. But no, but then I thought something they could have done, and I would have loved to have seen, was maybe the lightsaber calls to him in some way, or something like that, where it's not just he
reaches out and it,
like, because as it is, he sort of walks up to it and he just sort of goes, da, da, da. There it is. There it is. But yeah, if he'd sort of stopped and had a moment and then reached out and grabbed it, that would have been really cool.
But that's, like you say, it's nitpicky. It's a small.
This is what the final.
Okay. So to the final person revenge Sith picked it like that. This is what it feels like to be Anakin Skywalker forever. Ooh.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. Have you ever read the film novelizations?
Yep. I won the Attack of the Clones one in a quiz in a coffee shop. I was waiting for my girlfriend. I ended up in the quiz. I was by myself and I won. And my girlfriend was super happy to walk in on that. Yep. Super.
What was the quiz? What was the question in the quiz?
Oh, it was.
Do you remember the question?
Oh, it was like 20 questions. It was like a full quiz.
Oh, for a proper quiz. So I wasn't just like, answer this and you win a book.
Oh, no. It was, I really had just kind of rolled in. They gave me a piece of paper. I was like, I'm just waiting for my girlfriend. They were like, oh, just join anyway. I think I called myself the team with no name and then just won. So I was like, I better start a YouTube channel in 20 years.
20 years. Yeah. Well, you've stuck to that promise, which is good.
I should have invented YouTube. Like that would have probably been the moneymaker. That's fine. Whatever. I got a book. But yeah, no, I have read them. I think I've read all of them except for Rise of Skywalker because I can't get it yet because I want to go to the shop.
You buy the physical books.
I just want to go into the city and buy it. Like I always do with all of them, but because I can't leave the house, I'm just sort of like, no.
Yeah. And I'm keen to, after now that there's a bit of time, I think, and there's let's say what's coming up. There's maybe Mandalorian season 2. There's a bit of time there. I want to get stuck back into some of the books, and I was thinking maybe one of the novelizations. I still haven't read the Rise of Skywalker novelization.
The Force Awakens one is pretty. It's fine. It's the story of the movie, but the writer's a little bit like you feel like he's written everything with his thesaurus next to his desk because sometimes he just uses words. And you're like, didn't need that. That's a $20 word that you just did not need to put in there. But it's fine. It does. It's interesting to see like the deleted scenes and stuff.
Yeah. I'm a bit weird about some of that stuff. Like, I know we've spoken about the novelizations tend to have their own kind of timelines. They're almost their own universes in some respects.
Yeah.
I'm a bit. I don't know if I like that aspect of them. I don't necessarily like that they add in things that aren't there. That maybe it's just because I'm too seasoned and too jaded from Twitter and people saying, "Oh, well, now it's in the book, so therefore it's this." And it's like, yeah, but it's not in the movie. Like, I don't know. You shouldn't need the book to explain something. I don't think.
No, I agree. Like, I mean, the books are always written based on the script, so that's how you get like the deleted scenes and stuff. But like sometimes there is definitely editorializing, and it's interesting with like The Last Jedi. There's a lot of stuff about Ben Solo's youth that just comes from that book, and people have sort of said this is the thing, and you're like, but that's very much, you can kind of like say, well, yes and no, because there's also stuff in like Force Awakens where Poe and Rey have like a meet cute, which then naturally happen, and stuff out like I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to kind of look at them and be like, yeah, this is fine, but they contradict things because they're not. I guess you got to look at it like this, like, because the Ahsoka book contradicts what we've just watched.
How? Because I've read the Ahsoka book, but I don't remember it. I don't remember being all that kind of vibed by it.
Yeah, it's fine. It does what it does.
It was only okay. Yeah.
It's basically moving her from where we are now to Rebels via killing a seventh sister or whatever. But there's a thing where I think in the prologue she kind of does the siege of Mandalore, and it's like she's got green lightsabers and there's dialogue, and I think she buries her lightsabers, and they make a grave for her and for Rex. And I mean, obviously, if I'm wrong in the quotes in the chat, please correct whatever. And they catch Maul in a ray shield and stuff like this. So it's all quite different. But at the same time, like, and I was thinking about it today, I think maybe you do have to look at it as being like, this is quite similar to what we were talking about on Saturday. So you say that Star Wars happens, and then the books are the books written about the things that happened. So some people have embellished things or changed things or didn't quite know the story and just sort of editorialized. But the movies are the thing. So the movies are the history, and the books are the bit that kind of have been written around it. So sometimes the things don't gel because maybe it's like if you read Herodotus' history, the history of like the Greece thousands of years ago. There's bits where he kind of makes things, he's clearly made things up just to make the story work, Or you'll be like, crap, I need to fix this. Okay. And when they were on the road, they met Pan, the god of mischief, and this happened. And it's basically a genuine history of the world. But maybe that's how you have to look at the books, as being like, oh, someone's written this and they've editorialized it, but the history is the movies. Anything that's visual is if it's moving.
That's an interesting take. That's quite a good perspective on the whole thing. I guess like you could probably extend that to even things like the comics as well, because there's a lot of stuff in the comics that, I mean, God, there's some real hit and miss stuff there, and it's like, well, is all of it exactly how it is? Because that changes this person's personality quite a bit. That puts them in this time, especially Vader. Like, I mean, there's too many Vader comics. They need to stop making Vader comics.
But the problem is, like, if you start doing that too much,
how much depth do you want to give the guy?
You can't give him too much depth, and you can't make him too sympathetic, but you can't make him too much this, too much that. It's like the Ben Solo comic, that Rise of Ben Solo. They're so desperate to make that character sympathetic that it becomes pointless. And you're like, well, just make him a hero then. Fuck it. Why even make him the baddie at this point? Show us just. We're happy that he's a villain and he gets his redemption, and all the way through he's sort of shaky, but show him being a villain then. Don't continue to make excuses for this character. Make him go dark. You got to sin to get saved, and that comic spends so much time trying to like excuse him and like explain how things happened around him and that he wasn't responsible, that it becomes quite annoying.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
and then
gonna get
also
cancelled for saying that.
I know I'm gonna get some problems. I'm gonna run into trouble for that. But it's that's just something I'm like, I'm happy. I love the character, and I think redeem him to type hair again. Redeem him for I love the redemption and all that, but you've got to do bad things first to get redeemed.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Don't be scared to make the character a baddie and then bring him back, because they've written the bring him back bit. Totally happy with that, but then kind of like decided that they don't want the first bit. It'd be like if Vader was super sympathetic and like Vader in New Hope like saves kittens. Like what? Like, oh, of course he's going to get redeemed. He's just a good guy. Like, no, he's a baddie, and then it's a shock that he gets redeemed.
I would pay good money to see that. At this point, I'm okay with alternative universe stuff. Like, if someone wanted to make a comic about that, where literally he's elsewhere. Forget Rogue One ever. Actually, no, that's where he was before Rogue One. Like, he does that right before he does the hallway scene, and like, where they say, like, get on the phone to Lord Vader, tell him to get here. They've got the plans. Cut to him on some planet, and he's feeding the poor, something like that, and that's why he's so pissed. It's not for any other reason. He's just they got in the way of his charitable work.
Yeah. He's just like, Mr. Vader, you've saved our village. Don't mention it.
It's combing fleas out of space dogs, at an animal shelter and whatnot and whatnot. And they call him, and he's just like, he's got shampoo all over his gloves and stuff.
Guys, I've got work. I got to get to work. I'm sorry.
I gotta go kill some people.
It's just like, this is, you gotta, don't live to work to live, or whatever the expression is. But I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry. I'll be back.
Yeah, really, knowing that he has to go kill people as well. It's like, he's like, if I keep killing people, that's less people that might adopt some of these furry friends.
Yeah, it's tearing him up inside.
He's conflicted.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole point of his whole thing. But yeah. Anyway,
well, yep. Hey, we've been on for an hour, so I think. Hold on, Catherine. His place on Mustafar, Vader has a kitten wing.
Meowstafar.
oh, yeah. All right,
solid.
That's it. That's a solid way to end this.
My feed just cuts off.
Yeah. Well, I think we've spoken about the Clone Wars enough and whatnot. We've got to save something for the weekend. So everyone, thanks for joining. We're going to be doing another stream on Saturday, our time.
We'll be talking about
probably
the Mandalorian.
Maybe the
Mandalorian, at least.
Yeah, something like that. We're going to get a few people from Australia on the stream, I think, as well.
We will.
Hey, Zeri. Sorry, you came in right at the end. So, we'll get some other people in, and we'll talk about probably Disney Gallery. We'll do a bit of a roundup, probably talk about the Clone Wars again, and whatever the hell else we can think of. But yeah, we'll schedule that soon, or sooner rather than later. We'll get that out on Facebook and YouTube. If you were watching this from Facebook, let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know that the stream worked. It's our first time streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. Yeah. So cool. And thanks again for joining. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com, Blue Bantha Milk Co. And we will see you all soon.
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, may the Revenge of the 5th.
It's still the 4th.